Look at that pretty face. Look, now I'm talking to you, Desiree. It's interesting though. It's not super cloudy, right? Yeah, that's better. I mean, but say Austin, it's kind of oh yeah, the screen is slanted behind. Yeah. I can see that. I can't hear anything though. Are you guys muted? Is anybody talking?
Mic check. Mic check, mic check.
Yeah, it's very low.
Give me a second.
I can't hear you talking.
Well, you need to speak into the microphone. I already did something to the audio on purpose.
Testing.
I can't hear you really.
Yeah, Austin?
Yeah, I hear
Just,
you.
yeah. Okay, that's fine now. That's fine. Yeah.
No, I know. She turned it back on. I turned it back
But
on.
we can't hear them.
She's not talking yet.
No, I mean, I hear you saying she's not talking yet, like very, very low.
Testing. Can you hear me, Mark?
Very, very low.
Really talking to the mic, like.
We're here from the expo, Dr. JJ and Dr. Desiree. And Ellen Seinfeld about to take off. How's that? Can you hear us, Mark?
No,
No. How did you know he said that?
very, very, very low.
Very low.
We're almost maxed out on volume.
It must not be coming through the,
I guess it was something you guys did when you made the transition.
maybe if
How do you want to record this then?
it's going to be recorded through the Zoom.
As long as we can record it through the Zoom.
Do you want my camera on my monitor?
And the speaking on the PowerPoint is too low also.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna have the mic for that. Did we get the mic working?
Testing. Okay, I'll give it a try. Ellen, do you wanna?
Do you hear, Mark, do you hear it?
Are we all good?
Honestly, it's a strain. We really can't hear you.
Maybe it has to be.
Okay, so
No,
it's not.
it's the mic. We're hearing it great in this room.
I don't know. As I said, something you guys did. I can hardly hear.
Should we go back to that and just project like the original?
And now I hear kind of an echo even.
Let's use this one then, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just, maybe it just wasn't.
The thing is, I'm not gonna be able to show her thing on there without doing, it's gonna take me to.
Can't you get her on
I
that
can't
Zoom?
just take the HDMI out for that. Because you're not, using it, right? That's a projection out.
Yeah, in theory.
And then what-
Joy, you need to join Kif's Playroom. Yeah. Okay.
So everything from the
So
side.
your HDMI,
Yeah, I don't need the.
no, they all need to be in.
Or,
You
yeah.
can't do them all.
Well, this is a map.
Why don't you move your computer here? It doesn't have to be
No,
near
I
the
can try. I'll
projector.
try.
Sit here and move your computer here.
So I'll get off the Zoom.
No, keep your Zoom.
No, that's what wasn't working.
No, I think it was because it's too many computers.
You guys have 1 minute.
And that other one goes into the sound
Yeah, the sound.
Where'd that third wire that I gave you go?
No, you only gave me the two. There's a third one, maybe.
Yep, that's it. So that goes up to.
Put that
I
down.
know.
Okay, all right. we can
Okay,
go on.
try it now.
Testing one.
Okay, Mark, how's that? Mark? Mark Becker?
Yes, hello. Mark Becker is in room 2,
No.
so yeah.
Mark, come through. Mark Becker. Mark Becker.
What was?
Hello.
Actually, when Sean was here, they put this one up there.
I mean, it's not gonna be looking at you.
Yeah, no, it had everything. It had us standing here. Like, can we put it up?
I mean, again, when it comes to the difference.
Only that.
In the room, yes, you just turn on the volume on the speaker.
So be patient, we've got a great program today. I'm speaking, of course, to the virtual audience, more so than that, just gathered here in New York. Having just returned from Europe, literally speaking to people on very high levels
It's not.
of government and Europeans who are concerned about the changes taking place.
I'm still the one on and not him.
Will we be
He needs to
facing
put them-
global shutdown?
If he leave,
No, we went to talk tomorrow.
Do we say the
yeah, but
climate
I
change
shouldn't be on, he
continues,
should be on.
accelerates, endangering millions of people on the coastlines of the planet? Will the so-called vaccine phenomena continue a third, even possibly a fourth year, as some predict? Will there be a guiding hand eventually in place?
On transit power.
Again, there are
Stay and talk.
various scenarios all converging at this time. Of course, many of you know that I have been in this research for over 48 years. As a social scientist, futurist, remote sensing specialist, one who's worked in many avenues, who's lectured to the Academy of Science,
He
lectured
needs to
China,
go back on
and
basic.
throughout the world, had the opportunity to work behind the scenes
That's not ours, this is ours.
to piece together what we will consider the ultimate blueprints, the things that are taking place. So we're going to do this program then without a worldwide connection, or when we have this
No, we
connection.
are, we're gonna record this.
Yeah.
Should I record on my computer?
No, it's
Why don't you
okay.
set up your computer to record this then?
Alan, can you get it to,
What are you looking for?
to get the speaker view for that?
The lesson to be learned here is because of the problems you have with last minute
Working right now,
situations.
don't touch
when you have to travel with one's own technical team, which we normally do because of the exhibits we want to share. Specifically, the speakers before us have made amazing.
Well, it sounds a lot better now.
Particularly,
I think we have to exit the.
John David Morton
Sean,
and others.
exit the.
You're fine.
PowerPoint this way.
Desiree and I have a positive message.
So this is Desiree and JJ Hurtak
Challenges
and
all
Alan
coming
Seinfeld.
together that really are beyond the paradigms of social science, political science, astronomy, cosmology, as commonly known. But the good news is there is help upstairs. There's divine cosmic intelligence that I've personally experienced. This is why I'm here with you. Whether we speak to the multitudes or we speak to 2 or 3 individuals, the idea is we are facing a tremendous leap of faith into the future. So,
You're good. I'm recording you, JJ.
Sorry, keep talking.
JJ, let me do a intro. Well, we're ready to start?
Well, I was trying to find my flash drive.
Yes.
Let me do a little introduction too.
so Ellen, we work with Ellen Steinfeld, who has authored this amazing book, Making Contact. Is going to give just a brief introduction because Ellen and I have worked together all over the world. I will simply say I have privately lectured to several presidents overseas. I've talked to leading shamans and social scientists on all 5 continents. And I've, of course, been the first to release perhaps the most important aspects of information in your new book, Ellen, with the real pictures of the specimens that were created by the authorities from extraterrestrial civilization. Again, I want to state at the beginning that we're working here with a technical handicap, so we ask you to be very patient with us.
But everyone's just coming in.
And
Okay.
if we have an opportunity to talk to you after this lecture, I will go into
Sorry, it's gonna be.
detail.
Okay.
I just want to say that the work of the Hurtaks is known worldwide. They have groups in South Africa, in Europe, in South America, Argentina, Brazil, all over the US. They are world-known spiritual leaders, and they have a message of higher consciousness that they're bringing to the planet. In 1973, Dr. J.J. Hurtak, as a teacher, professor of linguistics, accessed the code to other dimensions. And when he did this, a doorway to these higher realities opened up, and this being Enoch came through and took Dr. Hurtak with his body into these unseen realities. So that's something very rare. You don't hear that happening a lot. And with that, he downloaded a body of knowledge that is still functioning as a prophecy for the future, as a multidimensional map to the higher cosmologies. So this book, The Keys of Enoch, Book of Knowledge, is a valuable accelerator of consciousness. So you should pick it up, start reading it, because it'll start to open up the mind to these multiple dimensions. So when I met them in 1996, they had already accumulated a huge body of knowledge about extraterrestrial cosmologies, the Oversoul Awakening with Desiree and JJ developed that book, which is really how to access the dimensions of being that we all are, but we've been conditioned and brainwashed not to have access to our own over self. How do we awaken that? Is in this book, is in that book, and it's in the work of all of their most recent work too, and also their mind dynamics work, which talks about remote viewing, remote sensing, how to use this non-local capacity of our brain. We are non-local. You think you're sitting in that chair, but really you are everywhere right now. You're infinite beings. It's hard for us to believe that because we're so brainwashed, but that's another part of what they're bringing in as their teachings. And a lot of it's based on what the ancients knew, the legacy in stone, which their work also. So Desiree.
Right, thank you. Yes, we'll have some books and materials for people who are here in real life. And actually, we wanted Alan to continue with us if we don't get our PowerPoint up. And it looks like the PowerPoint is still loading, which we may be able to do. I hope that Mark can hear us from here, and we'll just do it all on the one computer. So we're starting with the concept of the extraterrestrial civilizations, but we're really well known for also moving into what we would call the extracelestial and and ultraterrestrial as well.
Yeah, no, I'll just get this going.
I don't think it does. I don't think they have a license.
Well, it's come up. Accept license, accept.
And as Ellen mentioned, our work is based upon the keys of Enoch. People say, well, why should I do what you're saying? Well, first of all, I work with the top scientists in the United States. Dr. Elizabeth Rauscher, who authored the book Mind Dynamics, has over 450 scientific papers. No other female scientists can match her. We work with several of the astronauts. This book pointed to the year 2004. for a major release of information regarding extraterrestrial civilization. 2014 went, people said, well, you were off target. No, 3 years ago, the Pentagon began to release information regarding 2004. Now, 2004 is considered the watermark of getting younger scientists to realize the government was the answers that extraterrestrial spaceships did maneuver around U.S. military forces. This also is important to realize that this book mentions the name of Miss Kamala, our vice president, in 1973. No other book on the planet has this level of information regarding the political changes, the cosmic changes, and even the genetic code, the DNA, RNA, before this was done officially in the year 2000, 2001. So this information really is beyond the perspectives of most people interested in the cats and Robert game of ETs. This is throwing people off the direction of spiritual knowledge and spiritual evolution. We are here to recognize, as the late astronaut Gordon Cooper said, that we are in a leap of faith. Either we realize that there's cosmic intelligence and that there's a higher purpose of life, or we will simply, paraphrase, we will simply pass away by not taking the opportunity to work with the cosmic others who are on our doorstep. So Desiree and I put together a short program looking at the ET and the UT aspects of what's involved with this cosmic engineering. And we like to begin with our work.
Right, we might as well begin. May not be seeing us live, but we are here. So let's move forward. I think I can. Okay, good. So this is actually, you see Alan Steinfeld and I and Dr. Jack. It's one of our gatherings for, thank you. Go ahead, Alan.
And this is the Integratron, which was built. Are we starting, Austin?
Yeah, we wouldn't mind if you could see us as well as the images, but we don't see.
This is our gathering in Southern California at the Integratron built by George Van Tassel, who was working with also Hughes aircraft.
And extraterrestrials. He was sleeping outside in the desert under something called Giant Rock, the biggest rock in the Southwest. And there's a vortex there. And these beings appeared to him in the middle of the night. And they told him to build this Integratron, no metal, and it was supposed to be a time machine, a regeneration machine. And this movie, which I produced, is about this. Doctors JJ and Desiree are in this movie. It's about the struggle to build the Integratron, which he almost completed until he was mysteriously killed or died.
So we're gonna play this if we can. We'll see.
It's a little clip from this movie.
I worked with Howard Hughes, the man who built the biggest airplane during World War II. We're using George Van Tassel as our point of departure because he had the direct contact with the other side.
Right, and he talks about this. So one of his things, because he feels we don't live long enough to really know and understand what's going on. So let's see if we can play this next video.
To click on it.
So it's just one of
Give me the details.
Okay.
What time of day or night was it? 2 o'clock in the morning and approximately a full moon, which is like daylight. And I didn't see the ship land. One of my son-in-laws, it wasn't my son-in-law at that time, saw it now. You're right outside of us. Oh, I was sound asleep when we awake. This man awake. Well, something awake. The man got off the ship and approached me before I knew there was a ship down. I asked him what he wanted. He said, my name is Soganda, and I would be pleased to show you our craft. Soganda. Was the craft visible to you at the time? But when he stated this, I saw beyond the ship. After we got off the ship, the man who invited me aboard, didn't look a day over 28 years of age, told me that he was over 700 years of age in our time. Oh, come on, John. That's right. Was this the guy doing the formula for the time machine? That's the man. And what form did the formula take? Did he implant it in your mind like telepathy, or did he give you something written in English spoken to me verbally?
We have a couple of copies of that film for sale today. So this is a film produced by Jonathan Berman, but the Hurtaks are key players in this film because they knew Van Tassel when
I lectured at his facility, and when I was in the underground facility underneath Giant Rock, reading from one of the ancient Dead Sea Scrolls found in Israel, 1947, being of light, blue light appeared at the top of the staircase. Briefly, we know it was an ancient place for indigenous people. So what we're saying right now is this is the time for the gathering of the tribes. All people of spiritual devotion to the Most High God are being activated to go beyond the mystique and the mystery of why the governments of the world have held back so much information regarding the direction of spirituality, particularly the positive side, that we are not here by accident, that there's a higher law of incarnation that's brought us to this planet to bring, as it were, the message of God's glory, a message of unity amongst people of all races, ethnic and cultural realities, more importantly, a message of divine connection, ultimately in the understanding of the science of ascension.
Right, so this next picture is of Carlos Diaz. Lives in a sacred area called Tepoztlán. It's just south of Mexico City. You can see the pyramid that's there and how big it is with people climbing on it. He also had a unique experience with alien intelligence. That's fine because you can see behind.
He was a young man. He was very poor at his home. He only had one picture of Divine Mother and the Christ Child. Very poor person who was also a subject of contact by the cosmic called others. His was of a different category than the extraterrestrial. We will call the extracelestial, which is the energy form that is not metallic, not physical technology, but energy technology. Carlos is pictured here on the right-hand side of the screen. And pictures were taken of the vehicle. In fact, the film was made by a camera given to him by Hannibal, the famous journalist in Mexico City who had personally trained regarding the science of geology. This is one of the pictures that came back that was analyzed at the University of Mexico City. Right. What do we see here that's so important?
Right, it's really a light energy vehicle. There was no doors, no windows. He stepped inside, everything was kind of yellowish orange. He was taken to some very interesting places like tunnels underneath the ground in that area. And he saw some interesting art of the Mayans, but he also saw many spacecraft.
But before that, let's just look at the pictures themselves. Depicted on the upper left and then going to the upper right, you see a configuration of different colored zones. This was analyzed by top scientists in Mexico City, later privately by Nazis and German scientists. And they concluded this was not a physical spacecraft. It was an energy form that was a living biocraft. Remember, it was a living vehicle that could reproduce and reorganize matter as we know it.
Right, and so again, this is the technology that they analyzed to see how it all worked. And this, our understanding of this comes from, as we mentioned earlier, the Keys of Enoch, which is the book that Dr. Hurtak wrote in 1973. And one of the verses says, vehicle squadrons stationed over important cities of the world will be seen, motivating humanity to seek out spiritual answers to life. And we will see this in the following film connected with Lima, Peru. If you had seen our panel yesterday with Chandra Morton and Alan Steinfeld, we talked about flotillas or fleets of vehicles that are starting to be seen. And they were seen in 2004 in Mexico, and they were seen also in Peru. Let's listen, this is Spanish, but I'll talk over it to give you an idea. It's mostly up to the pictures. Those are the important parts. This is the news of Lima, Peru.
Era la primera vez que se registra un hecho similar a este en nuestro país.
So what happened is it was there for so long that people all over the streets and the news media says, look, there's more than 20 flying saucers. Said I never believed them, but I don't know what that is.
sorprendente espectáculo registrado en Lima hace 2 días fue
But the
captado
special
por
pattern, it's not just the light optics, it's the pattern, geometric position.
formando figuras en el cielo. Viene a ser un tema interesante.
So again, it was there for so long that the media could come out. Now, this is a researcher, he's actually become a Dante, and he's comparing what was seen in Mexico to what was seen in
fue
Peru.
cauteloso en aseverar sobre posibles extraterrestres, pero sí nos proporcionó imágenes de video donde se observa ese mismo fenómeno grabado en 1994 y 1995 sobre el cielo de varias ciudades mexicanas. Y debe ser controlado, debe saberse de qué se trata, porque inclusive podría ser, aunque nunca ha pasado, que ponga problemas
Now,
a...
this one is even of more interest to us, Dr. Jack, before I hit the button, go ahead, explain this.
So this was captured by one of the film teams just across the river from the Pentagon headquarters in Washington, D.C.
You want to Google it, it's really called.
On December 19th, 2018. And we see a pyramidal type object in the sky, rotating. You will see on the actual film. This was captured by other individuals in the area of Washington, D.C. It was researched by Jaime Malsam. Again, I repeat his name because I personally trained him in Mexico City 20 years before this. He became really the Walter Cronkite of extraterrestrial investigations for all the Latin world. For him to come up to Washington and to interview the individual film teams is very important. So from a variety of positions, you see the interesting energy geometry, which is important not only to the indigenous, but also to the major religious traditions of the world, floating pyramidal capstone.
Right, when I first saw this, because it came across our desk, we thought, it's lens flare, but actually Jaime investigated the people who reported this and asked if there was anyone else who also saw it. And yes, there were 3 different locations that cited this, 4 people in total, because 2 were together in the car. That's the one that's mostly taking pictures. What's interesting, in addition to that, is that it was similarly seen in 2009 over Moscow. This is the Moscow site. It's a little harder to see without the lights off, but you can see it's a very similar spacecraft that was seen. So
what's happening? Keys of Enoch begin
I have to.
with this picture.
And there you can see it if you can from a distance. So this is all Moscow, 2009. We'll go back for a minute. So, right, the pyramid seems to be the key to.
Not only the pyramid, but as you see in the Keys of Enoch, the pyramidal capstone of all colors, like a prism. This indicates, according to the higher intelligence that spoke to me, the gathering of all people into a higher language that has a metaphysical as well as a planetary symbolism of a point of gathering. The scripture connected with this is the scroll of Esther, which in the Bible is the only scripture that speaks of God's knowledge going on from Ethiopia to India. All people of all races will be gathered according to the divine law. Tikkumim, which means in the Aramaic, the supreme one.
Right, and this is a recent shot from 2019. Jeremy Corbell had recently released this. You can find both of these things on the internet if you know where to look. But a lot of people want to say, oh, it's military, but we go back to work with Gordon Cooper, astronaut Gordon Cooper in 1951. He saw a flotilla of spacecraft, and so that wasn't military.
What do they do with him?
Yeah, they made him an astronaut when he came back and recorded it. So they know what's going on. Let's take a look at the summary. This is really incredible. What are they? But I'd rather just look at the evidence of where they've been seen by all Navy ships. So this is
2004 over the USS Nimitz and Princeton. Vehicles were seen coming out of the ocean.
And let's go over here off the coast of Virginia, 2014, FA-18s saw them. Eastern seaboard near the Florida coast, 2014 and 2015 by the USS Theodore Roosevelt. This was actually seen on an ongoing period of time. That's why they didn't just say 2014 or 2015.
2019 in July, USS Russell, the kid, Raphael.
That's the picture we just showed you,
And
Russell.
also the USS John Finn.
So
we have really a coastal reality here pointed out in our teaching decades before, specifically alerting the American nation, North America, that major things were going to happen. Not only in seeing vehicles, but there would be a plague generated, more from human sources. There would be also cataclysmic changes that would take place, major proportion, that would require people to pray and ask for divine intervention. Be that serious.
So this is one of the reasons why the government is starting to release more and more information, why they're being pressured. I mean, when you have Navy ships that you can literally cite as seeing these things, you can't keep these things hidden. But the whole report came out from 2004. Here's the picture.
So please, again, I begin with this remarkable picture, this full of Esther, multicolored capstone that will be seen over the countries of the world, particularly over the Pentagon and over Moscow, the Kremlin, to remind us that the superpowers are being watched in terms of their games of aggression.
So who are they? That's always the big question. And as we said last night in the panel as well, there's many, many different races. We've cited at least 70 plus races. Others have cited 10, 100 different types. And though it appears that humans may be influenced by ET intelligence, we also came to the conclusion last night, as well as for the past years, that we actually are on par with many of these intelligences because of our soul quality. This is something that's actually identified in Steinfeld's book, Making Contact by Linda Moulton Howe.
In this picture presentation, Baron is the Australopithecus from Ethiopia 3.1 million years ago. Our colleagues explored this many years ago. For the Leakeys, we had an opportunity to also work with examples of the insectoid, the hybrids, we would call the grays, as well as the different levels of intelligence that encompass not only the extracelestials, but the extraterrestrial.
And the real question on all of this is how are we also sometimes seen by others in terms of in extraterrestrial spacecraft? That I think is the most shocking. Okay, you can understand reptilians, you get insectoids, little grays, even green men, as people have talked about in the past. Some people say that's all a bunch of gas that they inhaled when they died. But anyway, but you also find the tall beings, we call them Adamic beings. You find elongated skulls, but they all look like us. And you also find us in some of these spacecraft. So that's a very key scenario to say we are not limited to this planet, and we may not be totally connected to this picture of Lucy.
Yes, MUFON has just recently released a study showing more than 82 different categories of extraterrestrial beings. So let us look at the ETI, the extraterrestrial link to Earth changes. Is there a connection between prophesied Earth changes, extraterrestrial context scenarios, and human consciousness? We have several observations. One, the possibility of interaction with new concepts of hyperdimensional consciousness, things we do not see. This is a category that Alan Seinfeld has looked at in his new book.
And we also have in our book, Mind Dynamics, and that is a study of remote viewing.
Oh, yeah. I just want to say that these are so important, these categories, because what we think are just visitors from another planet, this is what we think the ET beings are. It's much more complex and sophisticated than that. It's a stretching of our neurology to understand higher concepts of existence. That's really a big part of why they're visiting us now. It's time for our conscious evolution into a new realm, a new understanding. You know, we're not primitives anymore. We're not living in the Middle Ages. We're an advanced civilization looking to attain a higher level of awareness.
And it's not just one type of intelligence. That's why the second point is extraterrestrials may be playing out their own evolutionary roles. Now, we believe, and we're going to show you in a few minutes, and we're going to call Alan up for joining us for a meditation as well. But we believe that there are divine levels of intelligence that have higher meanings, higher significance. But there's a lot in our local life space that's just like people on this planet. you got some good guys, you got those people who are just kind of looking around, curious, and then you have the really great people, the sages and saints that are really trying to help. That's who you have in the local life space.
Another category is extraterrestrial predictive science may have been seeded onto other Earth. And so with indigenous peoples, we know this through our work with the Zulus in Africa, the Shavanti peoples in South America, actually tell us that people have come from other worlds. We worked with Fred Mutwa in South Africa, a Zulu shaman. He said, yes, my ancestors came from the region that we call the planet Mars. When great upheaval took place, we had vehicles of light and we came to what you call the area of Africa. We know this from the peoples in Tibet, also in the areas of the Andes in South America. Most of these peoples and traditions have been marginalized, attacked, even destroyed. But this is the time of what we would call the house cleaning. People were beginning to realize the importance of the indigenous cultures and the great teachings of Africa and of Asia and of Australia that have to come to the fore and provide a bridge between traditional science and religion that generally put this to the side. It's beyond human comprehension. We're saying, no, this is the time that consciousness is being expanded. And as Alan and Desiree just said, book Mind Dynamics, which we put out a few years ago, is important because you have the best scientists who are pragmatists, atheists, secularists, who change their mind when they realize it is possible through higher consciousness dynamics to see through walls, to gather information from different cultures, places, by the ability of going into a higher frequency of the mind. Well, this was known to shamans thousands of years ago, but it's not been scientifically proven. And this book is the X-Files, the real story of what has been hidden by high levels of bureaucrats. And this is why your presentation and your individual grasp of futurism is so important, to take a positive rather than a negative approach, because if you take a negative approach, your vibrations will stay at a low ebb and you'll be in this dialectic of being neutralized. If you go to a higher level of human compassion, then you'll reach out and you'll understand.
Right, so the last point is critical. Earth changes may have been programmed for this period of time. Those of you who had heard Judy Sartori, she's the words, we're in an alpha and omega program. We use that term even from the Keys of Enoch. And Dr. Jack's information in 73 was showing not only the year 2004 as a key for our understanding of other levels of intelligence, which has now come true, but also the fact that this planet is going to be going through some major changes. And even that on a positive level, the veils between us and these other realms are being lifted. Our quarantine in terms of a planetary quarantine is also over, and in terms of contact with other levels of intelligence because of the changes that are going to be taking place on the Earth. So what are we supposed to do with all of that information? Well, Alan looks this,
From the New Yorker,
this is actually Alan's slide.
a family of the future, going to another dimension. Do you need anything?
And that's really kind of
Time travel will be mastered by some individuals.
that's what we really need to start understanding, that we need to really augment our consciousness. We have to have one foot on the ground, of course, to be able to pay our bills and eat good food and things like that, but we have to start moving our mind into other dimensional realities. And people can do that in many ways, such as going through stargates, which we believe actually do happen, that there really are stargate realities that even some of our astronauts probably have.
So millions of young people are being conditioned to use stargates as a possibility. We know that this comes through a spiritual physics of the fifth dimension. This has been our work as the Academy for Future Science. One of our associates is seen here with indigenous gatherings where you see the, should we say, the plethora of small orbs. Some will call them spheres of light, apports that appear that sometimes activate the mind into a higher dimensional frequency.
So what does this all mean in terms of ancient terms? Really, the ancient Buddhists and even those of the Hindu philosophy and also the Judeo-Christian have all said there are Father's house, many mansions, many worlds. So the Buddha is here, but the Buddha also is connected with all these other realms. And this is really a picture of what we would call today in quantum physics, non-local awareness. So when we think about other dimensions, when we think about the stars, they're not vacant. They're massively inhabited by many levels of intelligence.
Also, the Sufi masters understand the fact that when you use the names of God, mystics also to create where the consciousness doorway or the vehicle transport through which we see and interconnect with the true master teachers of the Supreme One. This is what happened to me in Mexico approximately 20 plus years ago in Tulum. I was praying, I was singing the names of God, and suddenly the light appeared on my body as a shield. My students saw this. One picture was taken of one in the foreground, and suddenly it was moved into another dimension. This supernoval light phenomena is something that many of you will experience as you go the way of devotion, away from hatred, division, and what we'll call the lower materialism that keeps us in the darkness of what's really happening on Mother Earth.
So who are we really? Well, not only do we have an energy field that extends outwards into other realities, but we also have the possibility of working with what we call the 8th, 9th, 10th, even to the 14 chakras that are also over our heads. So once we start to understand that, we understand that their higher contact with divine worlds of soul spirit is possible. And in those worlds, there are also the lords of light, the greater levels of intelligence.
This is one of our cosmograms from our new book dealing with the names of the cosmic Christ. The Christ figure appears at the top. He represents a whole category of divinities under the Supreme One who administer the divine law to the nations of the earth and provides knowledge not only for humans, but also coordinates the interdimensional languages, the should we say, transphysical languages that connect us even with the dolphins, the whales. Every life form is being modulated by frequencies that can be used collectively for transit from one dimension to another.
And in addition to the dimensions, there's also the matrix that you see in this picture, because everything is expanded based on a mathematical unfoldment of perfection.
The problem is now it's hyper-dimensional minds, we call those the wizards from Silicon Valley, want us to use the matrix the wrong way. They're taking control of the evolutionary projections that we need to have mind controls or filters or inserts in transhumanism, which means that ultimately we are surrendered to a robotic intelligence downstream. We feel, however, the scientific and spiritual studies show us that our mind can be open to grace, gratitude, and glory. And this is the crown chakra that is being opened right now, that we have a choice to go the way of the lower labyrinthian system and wind up as cyborgs, or should we say supremely cognitive human/robot devices, or we can go the way into human-God partnership with the Christ consciousness, the supreme consciousness, as we see here in this next depiction from one of our books, showing the angelic wings, the sacred geometries.
Right, this is how we really need to see ourselves, is expanding onwards and upwards on a continual basis. I'm going to ask Alan Steifel in a moment to come join us as we do a closing meditation. And we're going to work on the sound.
You see the dance of light from the great artist Blake. Our artistry is taking us into other dimensions as we see ourselves from the other dimensions, dancing upon the waters of creation, just as Jesus danced upon the waters.
Blake said, if the doors of perception were cleansed, we'd see everything as it is, infinite, because we are infinite beings. We've just been conditioned to think we're very small, limited, small-minded people, but we have access to the cosmos if we choose that. And I think we're choosing that now. That's why we're in a moment of transformation, of transition, of awakening. Dr. Hurtak.
We're hearing in the background the sacred celebration, what is called the Ashara Bara, the opening of the gates, the divine names. And as we hear the divine names, we begin to entertain these geometries that now appear in the skies in different parts of the world. We begin to understand that we're being taught a language of experience, a language of ascension, a language of contact.
This is the sacred body, the Merkaba. As it starts to spin, one of those tetrahedrons spin one way, the other spins another, and you start to accelerate your vibration with intention. an awakening, a higher consciousness comes into form.
So this Merkaba experience is beyond the extraterrestrial heavy metal. It is different because of the vibrations and the human compassion that you begin to feel through the music. Whether you are in houses of worship in the east or the west, the north or the south, with the indigenous who recognize that all of these great mystical traditions have the music of enlightenment, the music of the dove of peace and balance, the music of the cosmic dance.
And so let us vibrate with that inner self power of the divine dove, which is also the spirit of peace.
Called the La Paloma, the dove.
That resonates within us.
Connected with the Ma, the Pachamama, mother of the earth.
Let us feel the vibrations that come from those higher divine realms and that soar over this planet, helping us, assisting us individually and collectively.
We ask that this greater love and preparation remind us of the names of the avatars and the archangels, such as Uriel when he brings the greater light, that we may understand the paraphysical door is also being opened into the greater tree of life, the Etzchaim, as it was called by the prophets. And we're realizing Mother Earth is but one little flower on the tree of life, and we're being prepared to join a galactic family of nations.
Yeah, close your eyes for a second and just feel yourself there in the chair. Feel that earth body that you are in that's beginning to vibrate with acceleration of frequency. As you hear this music, as you hear these words, take them in. Let them work a cellular transformation of life inside your body.
And so as we also vibrate with the power of Uriel, is the power of light from the Most High. Or means light. Let us say this together collectively.
Uriel, Uri, 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 Uri. 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 Uriel, Uri, Uri.
And see yourself soaring into the heavens. The earth is below you, but the greater pyramids of light, the greater cosmic light beings are above you. And you are still part of it all, part of the oneness, part of the ancient past, but also part of the future.
There it is, the Star David of the Shigantra of India. With a star within your heart, begin to feel the validations of the special colors, the special sensations that come with the opening into the fifth dimension, with the return of the dove, the sign of the La Paloma, the sacred sign of why so many vehicles have been seen over Latin America, more so in the industrial nations of the north. This is happening because the people feel this greater energy and this greater presence.
This is the time of our awakening, our planetary ascension, the time where the dualities are so obvious we can now see what side we're on. Where do we want to go? Do we want to leave the old world behind and create something new? This is our moment of choice. This is our destiny, our ultimate vision of creating the heaven and earth.
As we say in the Sanskrit, Om
Shanti, 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 Om.
Om
Shanti, 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 Om. Om.
These are divine triplets, enacting body, mind, and spirit, connecting us with the chorus of vibrations. As we go from the open the seventh seal, as it was known, the prophets in the west, to the eighth and ninth seal, we open up our mind to the spectrum of ultra-terrestrial intelligence.
And this is why we are here now. This is why almost 8 billion people will be on the planet, because the change is coming. But let us, while we're here, radiate that energy of light. Be the light. Share the love. Share the forgiveness and the power of compassion.
As we look in, The most ancient name understood with the Judaic, the Christian, the Sufi, all of the Abrahamic people, but also peoples of other countries and cultures, understanding principal divine names being poured out. As humans begin to realize they are the capstone of creation, being supercharged, super awakened, and given, as it were, a direct experience to go beyond the ET, extraterrestrial, the extracelestial, the metaterrestrial, to the ultraterrestrial and beyond, into the divine family. This will not come as a shock to those who are pious, will come as a shock to those who have regimented us into, as it were, the three-dimensionality without hope. That we are multidimensional individuals that have this capacity to be local and non-local.
And see the power of the light beings in our midst, greater than any galaxy or super galaxy, greater than the local realities that we are used to, but they are powerful of love, powerful in their joy, and powerful in their wisdom.
The coming of the cosmic Christ is the preparation for cosmic citizenship. The realization that many of us who have disbelieved, as many of my scientific colleagues at Stanford University, Desiree, will understand the power of the mind and spirit and humbly get down with brothers and sisters of Asia, Africa, South America, North America, ultimately in accepting the fact that we have a free will to take us to wishes.
So these words are initiation. This is an initiatory process of opening the mind to other realities, higher dimensions. Listen to the words of Dr. J.J. Hurtak and Desiree Hurtak as they kind of encode a greater frequency with this higher sound music vibration. So do you want to say the Shema? Or
You like the Shema.
Shekhinah?
How about the eighth song?
Yes, the Ein Sof Or.
Really?
Okay, take this in.
I'm going to vocalize this now, so don't feel uncomfortable with the background music also. Ein Sof Or means really that eternal light that comes into that which is beyond limitation, that is opened. With the return of the dove is the coming of creation, the divine into the human. Ein Sof Or, Ein Sof Or, Ein Sof Or.
Everyone join in. Ein Sof Or.
We hold this vibration within our inner ear, within our inner heart. And recognize what was said to us in Psalm 51. The psalmist speaks to us and speaks of a new spirit, a Holy Spirit, a willing spirit coming together, bringing together the vibrations of the biomagnetic of the body, the geomagnetic of the earth, and the cosmic magnetic, surrounding the world, which we now know as also a tunnel-like system of vibration. We, in essence, are waking up to the fact that our body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, a biotransducer of energy, a vehicle of harmony if we want to use it, or we can see ourselves as pacifists on an international chessboard being played by the supreme bureaucrats of the three-dimensional mind that deny the higher evolution. This has been our work to bring out the scientific texts, the actual documents with the astronauts of contact that is now taking place behind the scenes. The Keys of Enoch were the first book to bring out the pictures of the city structures in Mars that were destroyed in ages past. The Keys of Enoch, the first book to bring out the date of 2004, when the Pentagon released information. The Keys of Enoch, speaking not of the world government, not of the coming of the Second Roman Empire, but the coming of the cosmic Christ, which John David Morton and others who are a harbinger of cosmic truth understand is at hand. And so, beloved brothers and sisters, this is a brief overview of the greater divine grace that is on our doorstep. We can waste our time talking about the politics of ET versus UT, the capitalists versus the communists, the Jews of the left, the Jews of the right, or we can understand the true Israel from above is the spiritual Israel that is coming with the host of glory.
Right, and so as we close with this picture, let us see ourselves raising into that higher state of being, surrounded by angelic forces, surrounded by Merkaba presences, and understand as above, so below, we can bring that energy here to this planet, to heal this planet, to transform this planet. And even if we don't transform the entire planet, we're going to have the intention of helping humanity. That's what's key. And so in closing, we just want to say that we're at the keysofenoch.org. Next, as in talk, is going to be on this
Stephen
program.
Alpern was one of our first students in music, who became really the father of New Age music. The books on the sacred languages, which include the 7 major languages of the world, are on the left and right. Epistles Sophia, the lost teachings of Jesus, as well as the work that we have magnified through the newer editions of the Keys of Enoch.
And we want to thank Alan Steinfeld, and he has his book making contact. He's also going to be speaking himself at 6:30 this evening.
And see by the other colleagues that spoke before, and others who will speak after Steve Halpern, recognize that music and vibration is the key to contact on the positive levels, to contact ultimately understand the scientific and spiritual marriage that comes together from both sides of the mind, and ultimately what we will call cosmic ascension, those that will have the ability to briefly become, as it were, cosmic citizens in the grand scheme of things. In the words of John the Divine, we are being prepared for the heavenly Jerusalem.
Thank you, Drs. Hurtak. They're also going to be in Boca in January. We're all going to be in LA at the Conscious Life Expo. And a bunch of other expos going on. Let's give them a big hand because they're up there. Thank you. And there's books for sale here. There's some Keys books. There's some the George Mentasso video here. We got some Making Contact, where the Hurtaks wrote chapter 3, which is a real transformative chapter because they bridge the science and spirit about the ET realities in this
And many
book.
of you may not know that I worked directly with astronaut Gordon Cooper, one of the first astronauts to create in outer space, who wrote this marvelous book called Leap of Faith about his contact experiences in Europe, and also who was aware that ultimately the White House will tell the truth. The cosmic intelligence will come, and that we'll have to give account, each of us, of how we use our energy to help people we will call the meek and the righteous of the earth who have been overlooked. Right. So through a deeper understanding of a divine spark within each of us, let us go forward, not out of fear, and certainly not out of limitation or isolation, but recognize this is the time of the cosmic harmonic, cosmic convergence of the spiritual side and the scientific side converting and coming together in the greater plan.
I just want to just also say, even though the Keys of Enoch were written in 1973, they're still very contemporary, still very much of a coded information. And JJ, Dr. Hurtak, is working on the last 10 keys now. So you're up to key, you did key 400, 401, 402, 403.
Well, actually, did 406 this year and will be published shortly.
And these are additions that accelerate the consciousness. So this is not just a book from 73. This is a kind of timeless volume. But these new keys are, I think, very important to integrate as well. And they're brand new information talking about vortex portals and the ascension process.
So in closing, we just want to thank Mark Becker for trying to make a difference here in New York and for going on with a real live conference once again. So thank you everyone for coming. And we'll put an end to the program. Thank you.
I'm speaking at 6 o'clock. Maybe you'll be there.
Calling all earthlings This is the time for Steve Halpern to be connected with us. Steve, are you out there?
I am here, Dr. Hurtak, and hello, Desiree. I am here. Stephen Halpern, ready to go. Great to follow you.
Our new album, in terms Divine Name, Divine Code, has been a bestseller around the world. It's something that is important because it uses the ancient Hebrew Aramaic mantras to have the higher consciousness experience. Brother Steve, you take it away. We're so happy to be with you on the other side. Steve has survived many pundits and what I would call poets who would like to think of him in the past. He's alive, well, and of the future. His music goes forward with us as we're going to release our new album on the Divine Mother.
And I don't know how to turn this off, but hopefully it's going to go straight to you. And anyone who wants our catalog or would like to buy some books, let us know.
Just,
Steve, take it away, I guess, but it's not quite.
oh, here, I'll just go back to this speaker's view. Speaker's view here. There you go.
You just take it down.
Well,
Technology.
Actually, if you want that.
several people who worked with this, like Andre Kuharich and Sig Mushroom, that I put back in the 60s, show that there are some remarkable aspects of these psychotropics and psychedelics that has to be that is properly spread out the wrong way. I was drug on teaching to California most people.
Is JJ, are they out of the room there? Austin, are you there?
I am ready whenever you need me. Guess we start at 3:30, so we got 3 minutes.
And how are you, my brother?
Hey, I am good today. I am good. We got a little bit of break between the big rainstorms, and flooding is tomorrow, and I got my link working, following Dr. Hurtak and Desiree. It's old times week again. I love it. You do such great scheduling.
Also, Sean was great.
Oh, he was already. Good. I see him tomorrow. I'll have to watch that on archives, I guess.
No. You can watch him tomorrow.
Oh yes. Well, do I need a special link?
Yeah, use the same link.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it was great. And hold on 1 second, because I have to put this other thing in. I'll be with you in 1 minute.
Yeah, hopefully my audio will be better than Dr. Hurtak's.
Yeah, I think they messed up.
We're pretty much good to go. Just give me one moment.
They changed everything around.
Oh.
No, so nothing was really changed around, but they're still in the front of the room. I'm just starting to clear it. Give me a second.
The So everybody, we have two things going on now. And right now in the main Sutton room is Mr. Stephen Halpern, who's going to talk about entraining your brain, balance your biofold, and tuning your chakras, the new synergy of music and marijuana. The maestro of mindfulness music shares insights to optimize being of body, mind, and spirit, oral pleasure, and higher consciousness, featuring his best-selling new release, Cannabis of Dreams, a future Grammy Award-winning album. Discover secrets of choosing your personal best sound healing playlist to access the flow state at the speed of sound. Stephen Halpern is a Grammy-nominated recording artist, a pioneering sound healer, author, and educator. His Deep Alpha has been on the Billboard Top 10 New Age charts for an unprecedented 60 weeks. That's 5 years for those that know, and counting, orchestrating a global morphic resonance via sonic brainwave entrainment. And before I put him on, in the next room is the Kips Baby Room, is Peter Raw talking about claiming your multidimensional powers. Take it away, Stephen.
All right. Hello, everyone. And it's such an honor to be here and also to follow Dr. Hurtak and Dr. Desiree Hurtak. We go back to 1973 when I was doing my research. Part of the reason I have been doing the music that I do and have been working to bring it out into the world is that as part of my master's degree program, I was challenged to prove that the music that I was channeling was creating different effects in people's brainwaves, helping people get into a balanced brainwave state more effectively than any classical music and any other music that was around. There were subjective responses, but Dr. John Lilly and Dr. Stanley Krippner said, you need to do biofeedback research, brainwave biofeedback research, and then I tapped into the new field of Kirlian photography and biofield research. And my first album, back when I knew nothing about business or marketing, was called Christening for Listening. And this featured a Kirlian photograph of a leaf. It was in that research that two of the research subjects, which we got for free because they were students at the university, had auras that were 10 times bigger than everyone else. So we called them aside, the scientists that I had hired to run the study, and said, who are you guys? And how come your aura is 10 times larger than anyone else? I mean, it was magnificent. They said, well, we're just students. But once a week, we go down and do a class with Dr. Hurtak. We're up in Northern California. They would drive down to Southern California. And he's coming up here to do a lecture next month. And I was at that lecture and had an instant rapport and understood that this is a man who is unique. He's real, and he's been bringing through, as you heard in his lecture, amazing connections and information ever since. And it's just a delight to follow him. And the album that we did, that he showed you at the end, has a power that combines sacred syllables and sacred tones. What I focus on is mostly the tones. And part of the reason for this is simple. Well, in a non-controlled environment, anytime you listen to words, that part of your brain, the left hemisphere, the analytical part, is paying attention. It kind of unbalances the brain. Also, there's an emotional aspect. What I was guided to work with was using music as a vehicle to balance the hemispheres of the brain. Part of the way that I do this is to not have a major melody, to not have major rhythm, and to use specific tones that are so gentle and inviting. The body is able to accept the sounds of particularly the Rhodes electric piano that I use on many of my recordings. You'll hear that on the album called Chakra Suite, which is what the album that was Christening for Listening, which became Spectrum Suite, because not one plant went into a store to buy this album. But Chakra Suite was its original name back when stores said, we don't know what chakras are. People didn't know what chakras were. And you can't use that title. Having said that, what I have been understanding is that in the arc of my career, what I have been putting out there in the world is information that reminds us of the ancient lineage, the ancient sound healing traditions. Edgar Cayce talked about it in ancient Egypt. All the major religions use sound as a vehicle to allow our own vibratory reality to come into attunement that we may more easily entrain and resonate with the higher dimensions. Now, what that means in terms of music and why my music sounds different and why so many reviewers and critics have said, where's the beat? Where's the melody? I go back to the research that I did with, let me give you an example. If I sing a series of ascending frequencies that you will all recognize, watch what happens in your body, in your chest, and watch what happens in your brain. So when I'm singing the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and I don't finish it, how many of you are holding your breath right now? Can you feel that tension in your chest? That creates stress. Your left brain is automatically engaged and analyzing and attempting to predict where the music is going. That unbalances your hemispheric reality. Your left brain is dominant. What we want for higher consciousness is balance, whole brain synchronization. And most music doesn't do that because of the melody, because of the rhythm, because of the predictability. Now, most people, particularly my graduate professors who are addicted, like many classical musicians, to classical music, could not understand that. And they were so locked into their modality of responding to music that they couldn't get into the mindful state of being in the moment, of being at peace in the moment. 1975, when my first album came out, we didn't have words like mindfulness out in the public. We didn't have words like chakras out in the public. Now we do, and people have more of an understanding of what it means to get into this state of balance. Well, in this state of balance, wonderful things happen. Let me just sing that phrase again, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. When you don't get that last note, you get what I call scaleless interruptus, not to be confused with the more sexual aspect of interruptus as a very fallible form of birth control, but scaleless interruptus creates stress. Most people have no idea that there's a subliminal stressful reaction going on when they listen to most music. Now, this doesn't mean that most music shouldn't be listened to. Of course it should. A lot of music is great. There's an emotional aspect. There's a physical aspect. I listen to all kinds of music. But when you're looking for relaxation and meditation, you want to get music that gets you into a balanced state of consciousness. And that's not what a lot of music out in the world has done. On the Billboard charts, I would dare say my album, Deep Alpha, with a little Billboard Grammy award in there, was the only album, just about the only album ever, that balanced brainwaves and made it onto the Billboard New Age chart. And to be there for 60 weeks, when it first came out in 2012, and then for the last, over the last year, it got on. It's been bumped out now by people who don't play New Age music, the piano guys, and a host of other people that I won't go into what I think about the chart, but the reality is that now that people can make their own playlists on Spotify and Pandora and say, hey, Alexa, play some Halpern, the expansion and the predictions that I received early in my career that the music would be serving the planet, creating more harmony out in the world is really happening. So if you have CDs, if you're old school like myself, I love CDs. I like being able to put it on my player and listen to the entire album. But however you like to listen is the way that you should do it. But what you should also do is give yourself the opportunity to be there with the music for at least 5 minutes a day. For automatic stress reduction and balance, I'm going to tell you why this is important in a second. Give yourself a chance to come into that state of balance. This happens automatically with most every one of my albums. There's a few that are more rhythmic. That's a different series. But my recent albums like Ocean of Bliss will get you into a highly attuned state that entrains your brain to the dominant frequency of the planet, the Schumann resonance, about 8 cycles per second. And that is the same frequency that we have entrained into the album Cannabis Dreams. And that's also what you get into with Chakra Suite when you just allow yourself to be with the music. Our bodies are so ready to shift into this state of balance. One of my mentors, the great scientist Itzhak Bentov, wrote the book Stalking the Wild Pendulum, and says, if you were to ask the body, how would you like to be stimulated? Would you like to be just rattled and hit with dissonant sounds? Or would you like to be stroked? Would you like to be caressed by sound? I come from the caressed by sound school of being, and that's what I put out a lot over the years. I'm going to talk about the new album in a moment because it builds on everything else that I've been talking about. What we found out, and what scientists like Dr. Hurtak and Dr. William Tiller and others have found out, is that when you get into a deeply relaxed state, there was a bestseller that many people don't remember now by Dr. Herbert Benson called The Relaxation Response. And Itzhak Bentov, also in the Boston area at the same time, were working on the same aspects that when you get the body balanced, a whole host of different circumstances happen in the body. Different neurohormones are secreted. You also secrete the little squirts of joy juice, the endorphins, naturally happen when your body shifts into a state of greater balance. What also happens is when the blood going out of the heart, now that the heart is beating more rhythmically instead of randomly, like with most music, the blood that goes up into the brain pulses the brain in a periodic fashion that sets up an associated electromagnetic field around the head that then entrains naturally, electromagnetically, to the natural electromagnetic fields of the earth itself. So that literally you tap into a much larger power source when you're doing yoga, when you're meditating, and when you're listening to music like this. Now, if you're multitasking, it's not going to work as well. And many people say, well, I don't have time to listen to a whole album. Fine. I come from New York, as many of you know. I said this to the music therapist who said, if you listen to a whole album of classical music, you'll be relaxed. And I said, I don't have time to listen to a whole album. What do you got that could do get me there in 5 minutes? And in 1973, they said, there's no music that could get you into a balanced brainwave state. And I said, look at this research. There is now. There wasn't before my album, there is now. And I've done 100 albums since then that get you into that state automatically. All you need to do is to listen, to be there. And this concept of attuning to the electromagnetic field of the earth, but also to the higher dimensions. And this is where my work ties in with the work of Desiree and Dr. Hurtak, Doctors Desiree and JJ Hurtak. Let me get them both properly acknowledged there, who have been doing their work around the world for many, many decades. Okay, so let me also just define a couple of things. Entrainment, there's a couple of words I've used, entrainment and resonance. Entrainment is, and brainwave entrainment is one form of two major forms of entrainment. Entrainment meaning that a stronger rhythmic stimulus will cause a weaker rhythmic reality to synchronize with the stronger frequency. So that if I'm tapping my hands like this right now, your heartbeat will virtually instantaneously match this beat. And if I speed it up, your heartbeat will be speeding up. And if I slow it down, your heart will slow down. I mean, musicians know that. They may not know this intellectually, but they know it obviously by the music they play and watching the reaction of the audience. Well, that's physical entrainment, working with the heartbeat, and that is measured in beats per minute. The more subtle form of entrainment is brainwave entrainment, which happens in terms of beats per second, or what we call cycles per second, which is also called Hertz, H-E-R-T-Z, abbreviated HZ. And that's why you'll see some of my albums talking about 8 Hertz, and the deeper albums like Deep Theta get you down into 7, 6, 5, and 4 Hertz. And when you get into that frequency, you activate much deeper levels of cellular communication in the body. It's the place and the state where you could communicate most effectively with your genes. You could instruct your DNA to express for higher levels of wellness. This is the topic of one of Dr. Deepak Chopra's recent books. It's the breakthrough that Dr. Bruce Lipton brought out in the biology of belief, that when you can speak to your genes, speak to your cells, you can manifest, you can control some of your destiny. You're not locked into just heredity. I remember when I met Dr. Lipton, I said, Bruce, that's great. How do you speak to your genes? What's the secret formula? He says, you just use English. They understand. It works. I said, how could something that simple work so profoundly? And that's the same way as the music. It's simple, it's profound, it's how we are biologically pre-programmed, and that's how we are built. All systems in the body, if you go back and read Dr. Benson's book, systems in the body work together. Music like this supports the body's innate intelligence. And that's what we're saying. I don't have to say that I have the answer that will tell you how to heal. I set the table and your body chooses what it needs to heal itself. That also is a wonderful way of empowering the listeners. And the amazing thing is it does even work if you're listening to this background music. When I first came out into the public, a lot of people only listened to my music as background. It was background in yoga classes. One of the ways I met Mark Becker was he was using my music in yoga class. He said, this music is great for doing yoga. Many people have discovered that. But when you listen to it as a meditative focus with focused intention and attention, the music can take you much deeper and much higher. And that brings me to the tie-in with the 2 recent albums, the series that began several years ago, the first one being Echoes of a Dream. I had been working with several compositional structures that I would add on to over a series of months. And then I met a remarkable vocalist named Kristen Hoffman. And I invited her to overdub on one of the arrangements that I had done. She recorded in her studio, sent me back her incredible vocals and the harmonies, which included things that I had heard in my head and then went far beyond that. And that then became the title track of Echoes of a Dream. Many other great tracks on the album. But what was so fascinating for me is that as I listened to the music, as I often do, as I'm falling asleep, I do editing in bed as I'm falling asleep, and then I get edit suggestions in dreams. Sometimes I get woken up, I'm gonna make little notes. Other times, once I hear it, I can remember what I heard. Next time in the recording studio, I will add on to that. And what happened is one of the tracks on Echoes of a Dream kept telling me, we want to be an entire album, or we want to be the focus of an entire album. And I kept adding parts and then taking parts off, making audible what I heard in dreams and in meditation. And that then became the Cannabis Dreams album. Literally, a lot of my inspiration came in meditation and in dream. Now, the other part of the inspiration came starting mostly in 2015, when a leading cannabis dispensary here in Northern California contacted me and wanted me to be a brand ambassador. This was right after cannabis became legal recreationally in California. Before then, I had been invited, and I said, that's probably a little beyond what I could deal with right now. But now that it was legal, I said, sure. Who else is going to be in the brand ambassadors? There was Margaret Cho, the great comedian, and several porn stars. I was the only musician. I go, well, this is an interesting population base. Unfortunately, the program didn't last very long, but they gave me the strain that I had asked about to be spiritually uplifting, meditative, and healing. And the master growers infused that marijuana with that vibration, so that when I would have just a little bit, and I'm a very microdose kind of guy, it would get me into a place where I could tap into the music week after week. I'm in the studio once a week, where I could go back to the same place, smoking the same strain of music, same strain of cannabis, and hear the same music. And that became the structural basis upon which I completed Cannabis Dreams. Interestingly, after I finished the album, I read an interview with Carlos Santana in Forbes magazine, of all places, that he was promoting and describing the release of his new line of premium cannabis, grown with the intention of creating healing, uplifting, and meditative experiences to let your light shine. And I said, well, these are the same things that I was working with in 2015. I better try some of this. So luckily, there was a dispensary that were delivered near me. I ordered some, and within 10 minutes, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after they delivered my first sample, I had shifted from out of being in my office work mode to needing to go outside and meditate. And this was now the end of October. It was California, it was still an Indian summer, warm day. And I realized his strain was imbued with wonderful, uplifting vibrations. I needed to go back into the studio and record some new music inspired by that strain. And those are the last 2 songs that I added to the album. Now, of course, in my research, in my experience, like some of the people, the old timers, the veterans of the 60s, I started exploring higher consciousness in the 60s. I actually had the honor of being in English 102, freshman English class, with someone who became a major leader in the legalization of marijuana, Dr. Michael Aldrich. And he shared with us that in order to really get deeper into the music of the Beatles, particularly the song that he was featuring that day, Tomorrow Never Knows, featuring some of the lyrics from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you needed to be in the same state of consciousness. And he would say that, of course, because he was a librarian and a research scholar, he had researched the use of cannabis and related substances going back 5,000 years in many, many cultures around the world. And most people who have turned on to marijuana have no inkling of how honored this herb has been in South America, in Asia, in the Middle East, various variations like keef or hash or whatever. But the fact that this would uplift consciousness and bring us in closer contact with the divine is all part of higher consciousness. I don't know how many people have researched yet the effects of having some ingesting or smoking marijuana and seeing how that balances brainwaves. And I believe that really changes depending on the strain that you smoke and how much you smoke, in the same way that just saying listening to music is a useless phrase. What kind of music? Even if you say listen to classical music, what kind? Even if you say listening to Mozart, I have 12 different versions of one Mozart sonata. Which one is the correct one that's most like Mozart? We have no idea. None of us have heard Mozart play. And we do know from all the stories we've heard, Mozart was a very ADHD individual. So his music might help people who have ADHD calm down, but it makes people like me more hyper. And that's why I never found myself so attracted to a lot of classical music, searching for the quiet beyond that storm. Well, look, going back in music, as I mentioned, we have anecdotes and historical records, although we can't hear them. We know that music was used in ancient Egypt and China and Greece, the great Pythagoras. And many of us trace our roots to the ideological patron saint, Pythagoras, and the theories of sound healing and concepts with that. It seemed natural to put together these two ancient lineages and say it's time to look at the entourage effect to get even more benefit by consciously selecting certain strains and certain music. And as always, quantity changes quality. So you may, if you're wanting to explore that, look at less is more. And I also want to point out that you don't need anything other than the music. As I was working with this, the phrase popped into my head. This album, in fact, most of my albums, create an auditory contact high. So just by listening, your cells are restructured and reorganized and reharmonized to come into greater harmony with each other. Your brain waves are balanced in the same way that pioneers like Dr. John Beaulieu, who's done such great research and shared such great information with tuning forks. And the people who've come after him, who very often don't credit him, and I think they invented things that John was working on in the 70s. Like myself and like Dr. Hurtak, we were doing stuff in the 70s that 20 or 30 years later, people come out and say, we invented this or we discovered this. And we're going, wait a minute, we have this book, we have this album from 30 years ago. The book that I did for Harper and Row, Sound Health. You'll find chunks of this in many other people's book, always uncredited because they use so many of the concepts. But back then, we could even talk about healing. That's why this was called Sound Health and not Sound Healing. At that point, the FDA was still saying, if you're working with music and creating relaxation, we consider, at least one of the representatives from the FDA that we met, a bunch of us in the industry, said that we consider an album like this could be a medical device. And since you, Mr. Halpern, are not an MD, we think we might have a problem there. And I go into that in my memoir, which I'm working on now. But very quickly, better brains at the FDA realized that that's not a problem. And I did ask, coming from my New York sense of humor, I meditate, Mr. FDA guy. I meditate looking at a sunset. How come you don't bust the sun? And he said with a straight face, the sun doesn't promote relaxation on the back, on the tray liner of his CD. Ba-da-bum. So at that point, he said, you have to take out the words brainwave entrainment and relaxation from all your albums, which was a major undertaking. And the next year, that whole political landscape changed and everyone started talking about healing and brainwaves and music. And it suddenly became a thing. And music that was not balancing brainwaves because there are no authorities that say truth in advertising is a viable concept. People could say anything, and music that I know was very unbalancing was being heralded as relaxing, brain balancing, etc. So you need to do the homework. And when you get into a relaxed state, any of you who've meditated, any of you who've listened to crystal bowls or tuning forks or have done yoga, you know what relaxation felt like. If you're like me, you didn't realize that a great majority of the population of the United States in particular, and the whole Western cultures, never really knew what relaxation is. They think that watching a football game or a basketball game is relaxing. Anything that wasn't getting yelled at by your spouse or by your boss was relaxing. Not true. One of the things that I learned in my early research was that when you ask the body through galvanic skin response, through brainwave measurements, etc., the body will tell you if you are relaxed. And we had several people in that first study who got so stressed, according to their biological output, in the galvanic skin response, what's used for lie detection, that they were so out of touch with their body that they think that they were relaxed. And maybe for them, that was relaxation. But it's not a viable, meaningful, and healthful level to not be able to get into relaxation state. Again, going back to the work of Herbert Benson, one of the best things that you can do for yourself is to build in moments of relaxation into your daily life. If you don't have a 20-minute period to meditate, the type A adult ADHD version is take a couple minutes a couple times a day. One of the reasons I did this album, ADHD Mindful Music for Enhanced Focus, was because people in the ADHD and ADD community were contacting me and saying, our son, our classroom, we use your music and students are able to focus and stay concentrated better than anything else we ever tried, better than drugs, which got me in trouble with the pharmacy industry, that was the pharmaceutical industry that was selling drugs to that community. And some of them are needed and some not. Some people work well with Mozart and classical, some don't. What I'm suggesting is that not only for children, and of course now with so many people at, with the pandemic working at home or in classrooms, we need all the help we can get. And it's about time that we use music more consciously, more specifically, to do what it can do, even in the background. And I've had teachers in high school from Beverly Hills to South Carolina, California to Washington, all over, even down the road from Dick Cheney up in Wyoming or Montana, wherever he is. There were teachers who I met at a conference who were using my music, and they said, we don't tell them what we're doing. We just know that our students are performing so much better now since we started using your music, but you don't have any albums that have the word ADD or ADHD, which is what we need to sell it to the school board. So as a producer, I took the music that they were using, which included music from Chakra Suite, Ocean Suite, and Comfort Zone, put that together, put a new title, and it, guess what? It worked on me even more than I thought it would when I was doing it, which is why I also did a version with subliminal affirmations to really focus consciousness and to allow me to work with greater efficiency rather than procrastinating as much. I'm more organized. So even though I knew what the words were, because with a subliminal audio soundtrack, you don't hear the words, but your subconscious mind does. And it goes directly in, there's no conscious resistance, and you can operate more effectively. And what the research is showing now is that there's a lot of adult onset ADD and ADHD. It's not just for kids. People who weren't necessarily that way through much of their lives because of all the 5G and the electromagnetic pollution and everything else that's going on, we are more of that now. And I recognize some of those symptoms. And for me, when I meditate, it's like, well, what should I do about this? It's like the answer was simple. Hey, you're a musician, you're a composer, you have access to the best music for this. Put together a product that will help you, that could also help people out in the world. And the fact that it's now available in the streaming universe, Alexa, play some Halpern, is a revolution. And it's also, when you tap into those streaming platforms like Spotify or Pandora or iTunes or Apple Music, etc., and even now Amazon, but the ones that broadcast to everyone, what I discovered and what came as a meditative insight when I was at my chiropractor's office, who have their PA system tuned to my Pandora station because it works, not just because I'm a patient there. They were doing that before I became a patient. That when the track one, Chakra One from my Chakra Suite album, Keynote C, Color Red, comes on because millions of people have listened to that album since 1975, all around the world. And we've all gone into a balanced brainwave state where our electromagnetic frequencies around our head interact with the dominant frequencies of the planet. We all are linking together, and that's the concept that Mark mentioned in the intro of morphic resonance. There is a habit in the earth field that when people hear this music, it makes it easier for all of us to go into that state. It makes it easier for new people to get into that state. And the scientist who brilliantly came up with this theory, Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, go back and check his books. He was well known back in the early days with the concept of the 100th monkey phenomenon, where when you get a certain critical mass of consciousness, that wonderful things happen. But he's gone far beyond that. And my sense, in my opinion, and in my early research, I believe that this is really happening, that when people hear music that millions of other people have heard, and that's the other thing about the streaming platforms, instead of having thousands of people like at the expo, millions of people now can listen to the same piece of music at the same time without knowing that other people are listening to it, but we're all going into a heightened meditative state more easily. Now, on your own, when you take time, you have your own experience, but these are ways to maximize your own well-being and do something nice for your body, mind, and spirit. Your cells appreciate it, your consciousness appreciates it, and it really takes being on the planet to another level, because we are now dealing with so many more vibrational assaults than we ever have been before. When I wrote my first book, Tuning the Human Instrument, and in Sound Health, there were big sections on noise and noise pollution. And Mark always likes to comment about that, because when I would visit him back in the 1980s at his apartment in New York, I would hear all these noises and I'd say, what's making that noise? Or, I can't sleep. What is that? Well, it was the refrigerator in another room, or it was the gas pilot on his stove. He didn't hear it. I hear it. I've also been tested at audiology labs, and I'm one of those people who does hear beyond the machines. I hear beyond the frequency range that they're able to measure. So it's not just metaphysical, but a physical reality that I have to deal with is it's a double-edged sword. It allows me to hear the music that I do, but it also means that I get stressed by a lot of sounds that don't bother a lot of other people. But music, like the music I do, helps balance that out. And when you nurture and enhance and support your own nervous system, your own biological reality, you're better able to deal with what is going on in the world around you. It's just like getting enough sleep. It's just like getting enough vitamins and minerals in your food or in your supplements. We need that now because we're not living out in the country 150 years ago. So those are all really important things. If you have crystal bowls, or even one crystal bowl, I believe that everybody should, if I were president, everybody would have a crystal bowl or a Tibetan singing bowl at home. And let me just demonstrate this. And you may be able to hear the subtle pulsations of this 18th century Tibetan bowl, which I'm just going to strike. It's often called the singing bowl, but we're just going to listen to it, and then I'll give you a secret. Now listen to the furthest away sound, and you hear that wah, 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 wah. And let me try another kind of mallet. Oh, you couldn't add a thing. So within seconds, that will change your physiology. Within seconds, that will change your brain waves. And within seconds, it's legal, it's non-addictive, it's non-fattening, there's no harmful side effects. That's why so many traditional cultures used instruments like this, because it took them into the alpha state and some of the bowls into the theta state. When I first heard the Rhodes electric piano, I heard it in meditation before I had ever seen one. And the first time I saw one, I was playing in a band that was opening for Herbie Hancock in San Francisco. Herbie, the great jazz musician. And he had one of the very first Rhodes electric pianos. And as soon as I heard it, he played, just as he was warming up, an arpeggio going up the scale, and I had an out-of-body experience. And I said, I need to get one of those instruments. Sold my spare guitar, sold my spare trumpet, and that launched me in my healing music career when I had an instrument that I could play that would instantly, and get this, not only relax the audience and the listeners, but it would relax me. And as you listen to the vibrato and the phase shifting on the way that I have the Rhodes piano set up, I just had a revelation the other day that without knowing it, I was going into a theta state without smoking anything, without doing anything else, automatically, as soon as I sat down at my Rhodes and started playing, because I would set up the tone and the vibrato to just entrain my brain. But we didn't have that language to describe it as such in those days. So this is built into so many of my recordings because it's an instrument that basically no one else is playing nowadays. Everyone else plays just synthesizer variations and imitations of the true Rhodes electric piano. It's like a series of tuning forks. It's a magical instrument. Harold Rhodes was so delighted that I was promoting his instrument for healing, because that's what he invented it for in the 1940s for shell-shock war veterans, that I was named one of the Rhodes Scholars. And at one point, there was going to be a big concert with myself and Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock and a number of other musicians who play it, but they couldn't get the concert together, so it never happened. But the instrument is magical, and that's part of the secret ingredient of my recordings. So a couple of things. Since I can't play live here today, you can hear samples, the longest samples, meaningful samples of a minute or minute and a half on my website, stephenhalpernmusic.com. If you go to Amazon, you could have a 30-second sample, which is good, but not enough. Back in the day, we would always start out with a slow, drone to get you into the state before the first notes would come in. Nowadays, with short attention span theater, we got to get right into the thing. And on my website, you have time to get the buildup and hear the music on all the tracks. But and also on YouTube. My YouTube channel is youtube.com YouTube.com/Stephen Halpern Music. I've just been creating a number of new videos, both for Cannabis Dreams. There's one that just went up last week. That will, well, obviously do not drive when you're watching it, but do not drive after watching it because the effects linger just on its own. It's some great imagery, some great music. And there's a new one that'll be going up next week on for Deep Theta. There's a number of them for Deep Alpha and Deep Theta. They're already up there. Check them out after the expo. Enjoy. I see that my time is just about ending now. But my handle is
You can talk a little more.
for Twitter.
You can talk a little bit more if you like. and
Okay.
Tell people to get in contact with you.
Okay. Wow. There's a voice that just came out without the.
This is and also, you know, and he's very eligible, by the way. He's an eligible bachelor. So yeah, come in contact. He has an email and he has phones and he has the whole thing. I'll come back in a bit. But you do about 5 more minutes.
Okay, great. So the concept, and there's one other thing. Now, over the years, I have mostly focused on instrumental tone because it is a way to get beyond the emotional attachment. When we watch the Grammy Awards, when we watch the concert for New York City and all these great events, or Live Aid, the host always talks about the healing power of music. But that's always about the healing power of music and words and chord patterns. And the ones that we know that are great because they do so many great things. Just like so many of the Beatles songs, whether or not they compose all or they had a team working, their songs were brilliant and opened up the world of music for all of us. I obviously spent a lot of time listening to the final chord of A Day in the Life in various states of consciousness, when you hear all those shifting harmonics and the different overtones. And I worked with my engineers in the early days to develop a certain array of microphones that would extract and record the harmonics of the grand piano and the other instruments in ways that most other engineers would try to get rid of. We just want the note. Now I say, no, it's not just a note, but it's all the harmonics, the higher overtones. And that would remind me of one other important point. With music, it's not just the notes, but it's the energy that comes through. And I can tell you that every album that I have released, I have been in a meditative state. I can't play this music if I'm not in a meditative state. The music comes from a place of peace. I get into that state of mindfulness, and then I wait and I listen, and then I play. And I don't know the next notes that I'm going to play because I improvise when I'm recording. It's spontaneous composition, improvisation. But when I play one phrase, as I listen to the overtones, I'll hear the next phrase, and then I play that. And as I play the next one, I can't remember what I just played. So I am totally in that state. And because of that, that energy, that information field gets recorded, whether we had the old analog reel-to-reel tapes or it gets recorded now into the computer, it is transmitted and radiated when you listen. So you pick up not just on the music and the notes that I play, but on the state of consciousness that I am the focal point. And as I've mentioned over the years, I learned early on that I work with a band. Most of you can't see them, but I have co-creators and co-composers, and I've gotten inspiration from a number of different higher dimensional beings and some famous composers that I'll be talking about in my memoir. But I'll just mention a couple of names. Find out more reading about Rosemary Brown. Read the book On a Slide of Light by Greta Woodrue, where they talk about some of the experiences that were witnessed by other people. And of course, in the studio, when magic happens, even though there's only myself in the studio and in the console room is the engineer, we have audible proof and sometimes video proof where the studio room is filled with light. And then we know that, yes, the band is in the house, the band of angels, the band of, they don't announce to me by name, but I could feel the energy. And that's been part of the secret ingredient that has really helped take the music to a higher octave, and a blessing for all of you. So thank you so much for your attention today. Do get in touch. Inner Peace Music, StephenHalpernMusic.com. Info@innerpeacemusic.com is the email to get through to me. And God bless, and I'll be tuning in for the rest of the expo afternoon and tomorrow also.
See you later, my brother.
Bye for now.
Okay. So right after Stephen, right, is going to be Jill Dane. Jill Dane, our Florida psychic, is going to be talking about love and relationships. And in the Kips Bay room is Kat James. She is here from Montana. She'll be virtual. She's going to talk about the ultimate biohack, harnessing leptin to transform your body, brain, and looks. So again, Kips Bay room is Kat James. And in this room right here will be Jill Dane. And Stephen Halpern, you're the best. Love you.
Thank you. Love you too. Bye now.
So in a moment, Jill Dane will be walking into this room talking about love and relationships.
What is your advice about love and relationships?
Excuse me?
What's your advice about love and relationships?
What is my about love relationships? Well, I'll tell you my experience and in relationship, that in relationship, once you know what you don't want in your life, then when you'll meet the right person. Meaning that, okay, when you know, like most people say, they know what they want in their man or woman. You have to know what you don't want. Because once you get rid of everything once you get rid of everything that you don't want, what's left is the beauty and the pearl. Because you can say what I want and find someone you want, and they can have all these other things too. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, I'm old enough where practice makes perfect. Yeah. So, no, you have to know what you don't want in a relationship. When you know what you don't want, what's left is what you want. Because if you pick what you want in a relationship, the person may have what you don't want also. And usually find that after. Because you know, you get first, you'll be infatuated and then realize, oh my God. But if you know what you don't want, then oh, what you got is the pearl. What's left is you know, the cream to the top. And that's what makes a great relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, divorce is costly. Ladies and gentlemen, look at who's coming into this room. No, one and only, Jill Dane. So Jill, are you gonna be standing or sitting? Oh, well, okay, but let me show you what's up. That okay. So because this is the computer.
Okay.
So if you want to sit here, or if you want to stand, okay, I'll put it up here.
I know the hell that's so, but everyone knows I drink soda. Mark, do you remember what happened? Last time I was here, the last time, I ordered 15 pizzas for everybody to eat. And Mark took them out of everyone's mouth. Jill, this is a hell expo. Then we locked them out of the room. We had 5 more boxes. Yes. Thank you so much. Wait for more people.
Those are shoes.
You like the shoes?
Yeah, you really.
When have you ever seen me come with no shoes? We're monster shoes, right?
Yeah, where do you want to stand? Do you want to stand there or this is?
This is good. This is good.
You look better on the camera.
Oh,
Come closer.
come
Come
closer.
closer.
Okay. Let me know that. So instead of the pizza, I ended up getting those Brussels sprouts, you know, the sprouts for everyone. The health expo. And so. No, but everybody should be eating healthy right now. You know, the one thing I can say, and I only want to bring up the pandemic once, okay? Because I want to visualize that it's going away, right? I want everyone to manifest and make like it's heading away, which it will be. You're gonna mark my words. Every prediction I've said in New York has happened ever since I've been coming here. And you're gonna see by the end of next year, by January 23, 24, there'll be a whole new light. We'll just say it that way. right? What everyone should do is every morning when you wake up, because a lot of people have been living in fear. And what you should do every morning, take 5 minutes out of your time and meditate for 5 minutes, pray for 5 minutes, and start your day. You'll feel better with everything that.
Hey, Jill, Jill, two things. One is you're walking away from the camera. Two is you gotta hold it closer to you when you walk.
Is that good?
Oh, that's the best.
That's the best?
I love that.
Oh my God, I thought God was talking to me. I thought heaven was speaking to me.
I said, I love when you call me God.
The higher power, I call it. I call it the higher power. Whatever God you believe in, whatever angels you believe in, you pray to them. And I always do believe in that. I believe we're all the same. We're all the same color, same person inside and out, correct? So on that note, how many of you are single? Raise your hands again. Okay. And what have we been doing? Because what have we been doing to meet other people? Have you been getting out to meet other people? Have you been going online? Everything? No? I always say go to the grocery store and you never know who could be there at night, women and men. They're working men, we'll just say it that way. So when do they go grocery shopping? At night, right? And how bad could they be? Or to a function like this, or any function. And if you have the opportunity, if I could say, someone says, come to this event or come to my house, don't say, oh, I'm in bed, I'm tired, I don't want to get up. No, get up and go, right? Right? Because you miss out on opportunities, if I could say. And those of you, how many times, if I could say, that you have met somebody and it could have been, what signs are, right? Like I'm talking astrological signs, right? So you could have been with a narcissist, pathological liar, Scorpio. No, I'm kidding. Kidding. Not all Scorpios are the same. Just kidding. Kidding. I love Scorpios. But what I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is not all signs. So if somebody was that way, women or men, not all signs are a pathological liar, or comes off one way and is another way. And that's why I always tell people, when you meet somebody, or even if you're in your own relationship, in a marriage or a relationship right now, and if it's not working out the way you want it to, you start fresh, you start going on dates. You start making like you first met the person for the first time and go on a date with them. Even if you're with them 3 years or 5 years, and the relationship is like a blah relationship, you could bring that blah relationship into a healthy relationship. Correct? Now, there are some people that have been in relationships for a very long time and they let themselves go. They don't put the makeup on anymore. They don't get dressed anymore, right? Or they don't be intimate with their person anymore. And that's no excuse for someone to go find someone else, but always do something for you to make that relationship sparks. I always tell people. And right now, you're going to see with next year, if I could say, everyone, next year, people are going to be more alive than everything else in the next couple years, if I could say, for dating and meeting healthy people. And next year is, I'm picking, see, that's a sign right there, the noise, right? So I believe in signs and messages. So I'll just say that. I gotta tell a quick story so you guys can hear this. Something just recently happened, and I'm a big believer in the eye, as you could say. Do you know what the eyes are? The third eye, right? These are good luck eyes. And all of a sudden, 3 eyes just broke in front of my hands with someone being there. So we went downstairs and all of a sudden, another person texted me today that they were getting married. And with the person that I was standing outside with, they just said, Jill, I'm getting married, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, the wedding party just went by us.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? That's called signs. Do you guys pay attention to signs? Do they follow the signs? Do you listen to the signs? Well, listen to them. Do you listen to your dreams? Do you pay attention to your loved ones that talk to you in dreams? No. Do you forget your dreams? Yeah. How many of you forget your dreams? Okay, so you're gonna write this down so you're not gonna forget your dream. Okay, get a pen. See, that's a sign, voice. Sorry about the soda, everyone. Make like this is water, okay? I tell everybody else what to put in their body, but I don't put it in mine. I have to take my own advice. Okay, so what you're gonna do is, when you go to sleep at night, for those of you, how many of you forget your dreams at night? Okay, so what you're gonna do is, you're gonna put a glass of water, any glass, not a bottled water, a glass of water. Type that down so you can remember it, okay? Because you're missing out on who's telling you something in your dream, right? Put a glass of water on the bed. Put a glass of water next to the bed. Not on your bed, on the nightstand, right? Put a glass of water, and it's like a symbol, okay? And put a pad and a pen where you can put your phone. And as soon as you wake up, you look at the water, you'll remember your dream, okay? If you don't remember your dream, spill the water out, and the next day, put a fresh glass of water next to your bed. You'll be in tears to see who comes in your dreams at night. You understand? Yeah. And that's how you'll remember. It's psychology while you're sleeping. And while you're sleeping, a lot of our loved ones, that's how they communicate. And they're like, go with this girl, go with that girl. No, this one's not good. And you're not listening, right? And your first intuition, I've always told everybody, you go with your first intuition. How many of you have gone online? 2? No? So are they gonna come knocking on the door? Huh? No? No? You gotta I'm not pushing online because not everybody's gonna meet their prince or their princess or queen or king online. But sometimes it's good to meet people. And a lot of people who have been in relationships or have lost somebody that they were in love with for a very long time, going online is good to get back into meeting other people. I'm just saying, yeah. What was the last person's birthday that you were with? Hold on, let me turn this off. Here we go. What was the last person's birthday you were with? And what's your birthday? September what? 22nd. And March what? No one's a Pisces in here, right? No, I'm not. And I know Pisces. I was about to say there was. There was these, no. Pisces has been in my life before when I was really young. But Pisces aren't good for you. I know. You understand? And you keep coming back to that. And I still feel another Pisces coming. Oh, no. Yeah, see? No, but it'll be a good one. Oh, a good one. I gotta walk over here. I'm sorry. It'll be a good one. That's why I always say, when I would do the horoscopes for the Globe magazine for like 18 years, okay? It took me hours and days, 2 days. It took too much time for me because I would combine like 50 different Pisces, right? And psychically, I would put it together. Do you understand? And whoever read it would be going through that at that moment. And so there are people born the same day, same time, not a minute apart, and they're nothing alike at all. Nothing. I like it all. I even had here in New York, maybe like 5 years ago, I said, all the Geminis, raise your hand. And at that time, you know, there was like 500 people in the room, right? And it was really amazing how they all were around each other, all the Geminis, right? And there were these two women. I just want you, the reason why I'm saying this is I want to clear, like if you had a sign before and they were not good for you at that moment, if you fast forward, sometimes 5 years later, they're good for you. Another sign is good for you. You understand? It's like if I meet you, you know, and we start dating, I'm married. Okay, we start dating, right? And
We get,
yeah, okay. We
can you
start
come in
dating.
front of
Okay.
camera? Yeah.
Okay, we start dating and it didn't work out. But if I would have met you 5 years later or 3 years later, it would have been remarkable. Because you were not ready for me at that time. You were still going through something else in your life. You understand? That you didn't cut the cords and you're still hooked on someone else. You understand? That Pisces. You get what I'm saying? So they have to let go. That's why I always tell men and women, if you're not ready to go in a relationship, don't go online to hurt another woman or another man. You know, clear yourself. Clear yourself. Get yourself together first. And then go and start dating. That's why I always tell people not to, I can't say that. I don't want, oh my God, Jolene said this. Okay, a certain site not to go on with an E, we'll say. Certain men that go on that site are. I can put that okay. What site did you just say? Oh my God, it's like it. I didn't say it. Okay. A lot of men that go on that site, they're either married or they just broke up with a girl and they play with other women's minds and then they come back to their wife, they have their fun, and they come back to their wives. I hear it all the time, trust me. I've predicted so many marriages, and relationships and divorces, you know, I've been doing this my whole life. And they go back, or they go back to their girlfriends. So I always suggest clear yourself, all of you, before you get on, that you really want to meet somebody. But like I said, not all signs are the same. And what, like I said, I had all these. Okay.
Yeah.
I had all these Gemini. I always do this when I'm on TV too. They're jealous. Okay. Can we move it a little bit? I had all the Geminis and they all like picture we were in a bigger room, right? And they were all on this road. It was crazy, right? And then I had all single people that are married and dating other people. And then I had people that want a relationship here, right? So I said, oh, thank you. I said, you and you continue standing. And they were both Geminis, and they were both born the same day, same time, not a minute apart. You want to hear the story? Right? This is why not all Geminis are the same. So I said, so you're a lawyer, right? And she says, well, I married one. And I said, okay. And she goes, and I have 3 children, and I love animals, and we have horses, and I love my family. And the other one, that was back there, said, I can't stand my husband. I married him for money. I close my eyes. You know what that means, right? I close my eyes. And she says, and I can't stand children. I would have to board them and board my animals. So I like to shop. Now, these are 2 people. Explain. Born the same day, same time, not a minute apart. Both in the same hospital, okay, here. Both were born, can't tell you where, but somewhere in the East, right? But different mothers, understand? Different mothers. So that's why I'm telling you if you had an unsuccessful relationship with a certain sign, right? That doesn't mean the next one is gonna be like that person, right? Yeah. I like Aries for you. You, Aries. What happened with an Aries? Because Aries is very good for you. An Aries sign. We'll just say that. Yeah. Okay. New. Fresh. Yeah. Fresh and new. Yeah. Yeah. And not everybody is perfect either. You have to understand that. Okay. But I like, you know what I like in a relationship? If you don't have laughing, if you don't have, you have to be friendship first. Remember that. You have to have the friendship. And if you don't have that friendship, and if it just goes to passion, sex, I could say that there's no young kids. Usually there's young kids in the room. But we're all young, right? Okay, if it's just sexual, that's not a relationship. But passion, if you have a pie, right? If I could draw out a pie, picture a pie, and I cut it going down this way, and then I cut it this way and this way. Here, you need passion, right? You have to be attracted to the person, but inner beauty, remember that, is more important than outer beauty, okay? So don't go saying, oh God, this person's not my type. If you start talking to the person, you'd be like, wow, I'm in love with that. You understand? Everyone goes for the outside. And yes, you have to be attracted, but attracted to the person. But once you see them talking and who they are, you're gonna fall in love with this. You understand? Everyone falls in love with this. They're either too skinny, too big, they don't have my hair color, you know. You can always go exercise with them. Do you understand what I'm saying? You can always go to the gym. You know, it's healthy to go to the gym, right? You know, you could dress whoever you want, the way you want to walk, you know. You don't like the way they dress, but you like this art, go buy them some clothes, go shopping. Yeah, but I'm just saying, inner beauty is what counts. So we have this pie, and we have the passion, we have the friendship, and what do you need? That emotional connection, right? And a lot of people rush into relationships because they don't want to be alone, or they don't let go of relationships that are emotionally, mentally, and physically abusive because they don't want to be alone. And no one's locking that door for you to leave. Or some people are in it because of money, because of finances. And nobody should go through emotionally, mental, abusive relationship. Once you're in that, you have to let go. You understand? We want healthy, right? Yeah. So like I said, for the single ones, who's married? And we're doing better, right? A lot better. Since we did what I told you to do. Yeah. You seem like you're glowing from 2 years ago, right? Like a whole night and day. All you have to do is sometimes one little thing and it clicks. And it's just like a night and day change. It's amazing, right? Open, open up, Sleeping Beauty opened, right? It's true. See that smile on your face? I know, but she's better. She's better. You can't tell. I could say, let go, let go, let go, right? Who am I? I'm not God, right? You're gonna let go when you want to let go. And it's gonna come to the point where in life, when you're ready to let go, no one can tell you what to do. You know, but when I play my messages, and honestly, I don't like playing them anymore because I get someone else to play them for me, is, you know, on my machine. Jill, why didn't I listen to you? How did you know that please, I wish I would have, could have, you know? And it's not, you know, until you, yeah, are ready to let go. But you look better, right? You could see sunshine. It's amazing how little things could change a person without them getting plastic surgery. Right? Or getting filler or Botox, right? It's amazing. No, it is. Okay, who else is with someone? Yes. Let me see a picture. Don't tell me you don't have a picture on your phone. What did I just say? What did Jill Dane just say? They're not watching this on Zoom right now, right? She has to be like me, the picture goes right in the wallet. He sees me all over TV, so he doesn't need a picture. This is my life. He's not watching. He's kidding. He's kidding everybody. Anyone else? Back there? Come closer so I can see it. Come closer so I can see it. Like I always say, sometimes marriage is without a piece of paper. Right? You don't have to, not everybody has to get married, you know? I was just yelling at somebody, not yelling, I don't yell, but I was like, I was so upset because I found out they went and got married like this, you know? And you don't know a person in 3 months. You don't know them. They're good actors. They're good actresses, you know? It takes time, and if they're continuing, and I always say this, if they continue being that wonderful person, continue that path. But all of a sudden, if those red flags or those signs start coming in, it's time to say no, right? Walk away, but I like this. Hello? What are your birthdays? Let me see me. Yes, Mom. What is it? February 18th, and yours? What is it? Oh my God. I love it. How did we meet? See, events, right? What kind of event? A what? A political event. Well, let's not get into that. I hope me and you are on the right path. Yeah. Who do you guys want to win in New York? I have it on my website.
Curtis Sleva. Let me write that down.
The what?
I'm running for Congress.
Oh, you are?
Next
Nice.
year.
Very nice. Everyone vote for her.
No,
have
I'm
good
in New
energy.
Jersey.
Oh.
I have a New
That's where I'm from.
Cool.
Wow.
I just won the election in 2019 for school board.
Yes,
Member of the Board
thank
of
God.
Education.
So are you making them wear the mask there?
No, I'm against masks.
Thank you, God. Thank God. You know, I was telling people when, you know, 2 years ago, I was here October, right? And I kept seeing something bad come. You know, something bad coming. And I told everybody, sanitize, wash your hands. But if you're gonna have to wear a mask. And it was, you know, I kept visualizing when we were in Saudi Arabia, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I kept picking
Me
up.
too.
And, you know, I kept saying, if you're wearing that, just throw them away, put another one on, throw it away, you know, and like everyone's saying, what are you talking about? Right? And then it happens, right? And people are getting sick from that mask. They're getting bacterial, they're getting bronchitis and then pneumonia. That's what people are getting sick from. We'll just say it that. But I want everyone to get a pen because I promised I give out some, I always give out before I go back into my lecture. This is for all of you, everyone. I give out some what's it called? For making money. For all of you making money. Yeah. Did you guys, the what?
Crystal,
Crystal,
crystal, stone.
not to make money. Points, points. We're gonna be talking about coins. You know what? I'll do this after. I'll do it after, before we leave. I'll do that after you guys write it all out. How's that? Okay? Yeah. So, wait a second. I love this relationship. So what's the 3-month mark? 3 month? Like 3 months? What's over a year? So what's in 3 months? What's in 3 months? What are you doing in 3 months? Her birthday's in 3 months? December in 3 months. But I like rings. I like rings. I don't wear jewelry. I don't wear my eyes. You know, I don't wear my engagement ring. But I like rings called engagement rings. That's what I like. Yeah. This is beautiful. This is the future. If you get married, which you will, I'm going to say it that way, this will be a long marriage. Yeah. No, this will be a marriage for life. Okay? Because both of you, what you had before, do you understand? This is so different right now. You understand? It's like night and day. And you know that. Right? Both of you. I'm talking about you, though. This is a gem. I always say the diamond. You know, a gem. Pure, full of love and light. So I want to hear, how did we meet? Met in a bed, how did it happen? Love at first sight? What? Right. No, so it was just like instant. It was like you were dating without dating, right? And the only reason why I'm saying, the only reason why I'm saying this is because I said you have to be friends first. And that's what you basically, you were dating and there was no, you never put a label. You never put a title on a relationship. And you remember that, everyone out there, you don't put a title and you don't put a label, you let it flow. And if you hear outside chatter of people sitting there saying, don't date this person, he's this, or don't date her, she's that, you go with it. You go with your first intuition. Your first intuition is always correct. Always. Don't listen to other people. A lot of people are miserable and they like misery loves company. You understand? Even some family, if I could say, I'll just say, may be against and say, what are you doing? Go with your heart. Men need to go with this head. You know what I mean? This head, right? Okay? You go with this, you go with your intuition here. And if this is telling you yes, you go with it. And like I said, once you see red flags, bye-bye. You don't wait for a second, you don't wait for a third, you don't wait for a fourth. You can't change somebody. They're not changeable. They're not fixable. No matter how hard you could try to fix somebody. What's your name? Yes. Janie. Janie, no matter how hard you think you could fix somebody, you can't fix them. You understand? If they have a broken car, they're broken, right? You gotta get a new car, right? Okay? They're not going to change. Unless they want to change, right? I've seen people change the pattern. There are people that come from abusive relationships and families growing up, and they change the pattern and they love they're a totally different person and they treat their kids beautiful, right? So not everybody is the same. Just want to get that. So if, I just want the best icebreaker, I've always said to those of you who are single, if you go to an event or, you know, you go somewhere, you know, my saying is, if you're going, nowadays, it's like you want to go for a juice, right? Want to go for a juice, you know, and yeah, instead, or coffee, just, you know, tea, wine, you know, I don't drink alcohol, but, you know, I would go, if I was single, I'd go for a juice, right? Yeah, give me carrot juice and orange juice. Everybody's into health now, right? You go to a gym, you meet nice people. You go to the grocery store, you meet nice people. You go to events like this, look what you meet. You get married, right? Am I spoiling the ring? No, you had plans though, right? Yeah, okay. Oh, I didn't get your names. I didn't get your name. James, that's my son's name, Jimmy. What's yours? Nina. Nina, you have the best right there. Do you know that? Stop doubting. You hear me? You have too many doubts, too many clouds. I gotta move. I'm sorry, I gotta walk.
I got you.
You understand? Too much rent. You understand? People.
No, that's the
Okay.
charger.
To clog up here and let go of doubts. He's a great guy. Right. Not everybody's perfect. If you don't have an argument, if you have an argument, that's normal, right? Okay? But communicating, right? And talking. You have doubts right now. I see it in your eyes.
Thank you very much for pointing that
Am I wrong?
out. Yes.
No, right? See what you're getting from Jill in the lecture?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone, you're getting it all too, right? We're here, right? We're at the lecture, we still bow, we still fine. We'll lock it. Mark it. But you know what, it's like a stick, right there, right? I can't help it. Is there anyone after me in here? No? You still have to need to look up the picture, okay? Because that's horrible. Don't ever tell her that you're gonna find a picture. Understand? What's her birthday? And what year? Okay, and what's yours? I love this, you hear me? But there's something wrong. There's something not right here. There's something still. What? No, with you. With you. I see, this is what I can't understand. That when you have a wonderful person in your life, right? You don't want to let them go. You wouldn't want her to go. You understand? So do something. There's something that is still around her too. Just saying. Okay? It's just cut. Cut. There's something there. But that's, couldn't find a picture.
I'm not to do with pictures, you know, it's not like that.
Make it your thing. Girls like pictures, right?
She does.
No, she does selfies all the time, so I don't understand. You don't, but she does selfies, right? Let go of the doubts, it's bothering me right now. No, when I love two people together, listen, make like I'm your mother, how's that? When I see two good people together, I don't want anyone to have any doubts. Let it go. Make like whatever it is, throw it off to the universe, write it down, all of you. You should, whatever is bothering you in your head, remember this. I've told people this for years. Whatever is bothering you, write it down 3 times. Like write it down read it 3 times, and send it off. Get it out of your system. You hear me? Trust them. You hear me? Trust. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just telling you what to do. I went here about a wedding. How's that? Right? Now, if he came and gave you a ring, let's say you said on the birthday or Christmas or the holiday, right? Would you say yes? Really? How old are you? Okay, are we 18? You know, when I'm just gonna say this. When you're 18, and my God, my son is only 23 and my daughter's 19, right? And if they got a ring right now, I'd be like, no. Because you don't know someone at 19, you're a kid. You're still a kid at 19 years old. You know, maybe 3%, or my clients in India, they get married very young, you know. I got in a big argument with one of the mothers because I said, you're not setting her up. She's gonna meet her soulmate. Oh my God, oh, Jill Dane, the headache I had. And then she met her soulmate and now they love it. Do you understand? Because she refused to get married, but she met her soulmate up in India, okay? But when you're 18 or you're 19, to me, it's too young to get married. You're dating someone who's too young, you grow when you're 24, you grow when you're 25, and you grow when you're 26. And when you're in your 30s, after a year or a year and a half, you don't have to wait those 4 years when you're 19 to see if that's the person, right? Because a lot of times there are people that are married 20 years and they don't even know them at all, you know? They didn't even know. But that's you. I'm telling you, maybe sometimes you have to hear from a positive person, right? What you have next to you. It just will kill me if you said no. Because I like him. Very rare, you know, there's good, there's very rare that, you know, a lot of people just get married to get married. And this I love is love. And I think by December you'll feel different. How's that? And you'll be like, God, what hit me in the head? Oh my God. Right? Why do I feel so good? Right? Get your glasses checked. Okay? There's a reason probably why I said pay attention to your dreams, right? You're gonna see how someone comes in your dreams and tells you. Watch. My email is jilldane@icloud.com. Okay? Watch how someone, you can see me, right, everyone? Okay. You can watch how someone comes in your dream and gives you a message, and then you're gonna email me. Watch. Jill Dane, DAHNE, @icloud.com. Okay? Okay, I'm gonna answer questions, because what time is it? DAHNE. What time is it? Okay, we still have time, right? How long do we have?
I think it's 5:15.
Okay, so let's get some questions, and then I want to give some stocks. How's that? Go ahead.
Okay, I was dating an editor of the Wall Street Journal. I'm a Wall Street stockbroker.
Let it go.
I was 23 and we broke up when I was 30. I was going out for like 10 years, 34.
Right.
And he slept around with other people. He's no good. So I asked him about.
That's what I said.
Right.
You gotta let it go.
But I heard that the voices say, ghosts say, I was gonna meet a knight in shining armor. I was on the People Express flight to Washington DC to attend a political conference. And he went into the seat right in front of me, and he was reading the Wall Street Journal. And I asked him, the ghost said, he asked to borrow the Wall Street Journal. I said, oh my God, my Club Med stock was up like 1 or 2 points that day.
Did you guys invest in Bank of
Silver.
America or
No.
Amazon? like I told everyone to back then. You know what Amazon went up to after I said that in New York? Oh. How long?
I have gold stars.
3,450. Right before the pandemic, October, who was here, me, right? Say, invest in Amazon. Right? Where's it at right now? Yeah, but back then they weren't, back then, the reason why they went up is because they were one delivering everything. You understand? People were buying online. Everything was online during this. It was the stores, a lot of stores, except for Florida, right? We're in the Golden State. I love, he's gonna be the vice president of the world. Get ready. Of the United States of America, watch. Watch, come 2024. You are going to see he's gonna be the vice president. Vice. That's right.
So Trump's gonna win.
That's a prediction, don't hate me. It's
So
called a prediction.
what's his name?
I don't like politics. What, we were talking about Amazon and Mac. Well, no, what I was basically saying was, because I kept seeing when you're intuitive, right? And everybody has intuition, that follow it, right? I've been using it my whole life, making the world predictions that, when I was 13, I was doing a radio show, and I was flown to do Tampa, and that's when I predicted the Hanafi Muslim attack in Washington, DC, to the date. So I always tell people, when you see something, say it. I don't care if your parents, I don't care what culture you come from, that they don't believe in intuition. I have rabbis, I have priests, I have senior priests, I have nuns. And if I just wrote a book, and I've said this before, alone on that, no one would believe in their religion anymore, And they all are intuitive, and they all believe in intuition. They're just too scared to talk about it, And intuition is, a lot of people see things, but you don't follow it, It's like, oh, I shouldn't get on that plane. Well, don't get on that plane. If something I shouldn't take that job. Don't take the job. Oh, I'm gonna be miserable there. They take the job where there's another job you could have taken, but they take that job and they're miserable. Oh my God, it's 4 o'clock. When is 6 o'clock gonna come? I can't wait to get out of here, because you're getting a job just to have a job. And if you would have taken the other job, you would have loved the job, loved the people. They wouldn't have been like the National Enquirer, always wanting to know everyone's business. I'm not making fun of the Enquirer because I love the Enquirer. I was in the Enquirer my whole life. I'm just saying, inquiring minds would like to know. Yeah, you know what I mean? So come sit in the front with me. Yeah, you. Just like an amethyst, You ever come around people that are just like amethyst, like they're like this healing, good, bright energy, That's an angel. It's like angels and human. Human angels. It's like this whole room. I feel like we're all human angels here, right? You all fell from the sky, and my God, you landed in Jordan's lecture. So thank God I got the angels. Yes.
My grandmother had a ticket on the Titanic, but she stuck her hands in the water. She said, oh, it's too cold to swim. She couldn't swim. She warned the people not to go on the boat. She had a ticket in steerage. And I went to the Titanic Museum. I said, oh, how much would you give me for a Titanic unused ticket? And they said $1 million. She burned the ticket.
Oh my God.
It was bad, karma.
Bad
So she
karma.
burned it. I would have had $1 million.
Some holy water already. I said, she's no longer, she's here, but not here. Always remember, I want to tell everybody, you see this? I'm going to say this. I say this all the time. This is a shell, right? What we are shells, right? Within 13 seconds, our body leaves, our soul, even animals have souls, they leave the body, right? And they're right next to you. So if you put both your hands out, they're here. So if they sit there and say, they're basically saying, when you're looking up there, they're basically saying, I am here. I'm right here. And that's why no matter what happens in your life, there's a saying, you may be broke, but never poor. They're always right there watching out over you. And if you're not paying attention to the numbers, when you see 1111, or when you see 111, which is my birthday, powerful numbers. I always put Jill Dane 222, that's protection. Or if you see 333, 444, right? And all of a sudden you're feeling something, that's them. They can't sit there and say, I am here, right? I'm right next to you, right? But the electricity could go on and off, right? Or all of a sudden you see pennies on the floor. Or all of a sudden you see, yeah.
I found a $5 bill. I had no
Right
money
there.
for food for.
There was
There
a
was a $5 bill right outside the Chinese restaurant. Our price was $3.
And you should have spent that, you should have put it in
I
a
did.
jar.
I kept it and I'm gonna give it to the food bank in Ocean County. All the money I saved, I put it in the bathroom, and I'm gonna give it,
You're like me, everything that I do here goes to the homeless on the streets of New York. Everyone knows that. I love that. See, they're angels. What did I say? Angels. It's amazing. Oh my God. Clap for her. This is beautiful. That is beautiful. I love that. Even if you put $1 to someone on the street, it helps, No, that is beautiful. But that's why I say in your dreams, they come younger, they come older, and it is amazing. When I was, I'll give you an example, they come in animal form. My friend Allie, may she rest in peace, was supposed to come on my show, this is now 5 years ago. And I had a bad feeling for her not to change heart medicine. And she goes, they already did. I go, stay in the hospital. Your husband's a doctor. You should know that you should be in the hospital for 2 more days. No, we're coming out. We want to go out to dinner, right? It's always food, right? I had this horrible feeling. And we had this thing together that if she comes back, she'll be a peacock, right? Okay, she would be a peacock. And so what happened was Zoe, my daughter at the time, was driving my car, learning how to drive, sharing your reality. But she was driving my car and the song comes on, I'll Be Over Here. We pull into my house and in front of the 2 big glass windows, there was a real gigantic peacock. And I was freaking out, going on FaceTime Live, and I'm going, oh my God, and it wouldn't shut up, and she had the biggest mouth in the world, okay? So I just want you to all know they come back in human form. She does, yeah. And then I went to go get cigarettes, because I do smoke cigarettes, it's a bad thing. I don't put drugs or alcohol or red meat in my body. And the man says to me, oh, this is for you. And I go, and I look and I go, excuse my language, but I said, shut the blank up, because I totally freaked out. It was a peacock later. Then I go home and in the mail, there's a card of a peacock. I was like, how is that possible? Your spirit guides are always there for you. And that's why I'm telling you too, because I want this so bad. When I feel something so good, you have to let whatever is bothering you go. If you hold it in and let someone go away, you'll have a wake up. And then you're gonna say, let it all go, let it go. Whatever happened, let it go. That was past, right? If you keep focusing on that, you make yourself sick, right? And it's not too early. You could get it and then set the date for another year, right? How about that?
After everything is opens back up here, so we got a big celebration.
Big celebration. Right? Okay, I'm gonna tell everybody, because I don't want, when I give out certain stocks and stuff, it's not for the world, it's for who comes to see. So we're gonna step aside. and I'm gonna give you all, stand out there, and I'm gonna give you all my picks. You're gonna make money. How's that? When we were here, I'm gonna say, when we were here, and I told everybody what to buy, it went off the roof, because there's only certain things, and went off the roof and went from 34 cents to $55.
That's a penny stock.
That's a lot of money. You understand? Even if you put $1,000 in there, you make money. You understand? I'm gonna tell you a few things. We're gonna step outside. Thank you. You can go, are you guys on Facebook? Jill Dane Levy, do you have Instagram? Jill Dane Levy, I gave you my email, right? Okay. My email is Jill Dane, DAHNE@iCloud.com. Okay, and my Instagram is Psychic Jill. You should know how to spell that because you're all psychic, right? Psychic Jill, PSYCHICJILL.
Levy, L-E-V-Y.
On what?
Facebook.
Facebook, Jill Dane Levy,
L-E-V-Y.
Levy. It has a picture of Dateline. Yeah. Wow.
I'm one of the people watching from the virtual room, and we're gonna miss your information because you're going.
God is talking. God is talking.
And I listen to you every time you come.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. You know what? I'm gonna give, what I want you to do is go to Jill@icloud.com. Send me an email. Do you have email, right?
Mhm.
You have email, and I will forward you what I'm saying. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Travel
Thank
well.
you, everyone. Thank you so much. Oh, wait, don't go. Everybody, I forgot one thing. Oh my God. Before I go, everybody, whoever listens to my radio show, I have a radio show, 22 years on iHeartRadio. And my show is every Sunday from 3 to 4 on 95.3 iHeartRadio. Okay? I've been promoting these because this is what I wear. I can't get sick because I don't like medicine. Okay? That's me. I go the old way, chicken soup. You know, I don't put drugs in my body. Okay, cigarettes are drugs, but I don't put other drugs. So what I'm saying is, this is, it keeps away bacteria, it keeps away mold. Her name is Sonia. I'm gonna give you their phone number. I'm a big advocate. Do you have Sonia's phone number? Okay. Do you have a flyer or anything? I'm telling you, this is something I wear on the plane, and I don't put anything. I don't believe in a lot, okay? I have to psychically believe in it. I have no stake in this, nothing. She's here, she's right, oh, you could go see her. She's right next to my booth. 203, her name is Sonia. What's her phone number? Give out the phone number. 917-362-7088. This will keep away mold, bacteria. It tries, you know, but I was on the plane coming up and I felt like $1 million. And I flew other places with this to California. I won't leave without this. Just saying to you, this is the best